So all in all, would I suggest checking out the Glary semi-hollow T-styled instrument? Yeah, I think it's good enough.
As she's walking through the clouds with a circus smile running round, butterflies in the moonbeam fairy tales. It's all she ever thinks about. Running with the wind. When she's sad, she comes to me with 1,000 smiles. She gives me free. It's alright, yes, it's alright. Take anything you want from me, anything.
Hey, what's up? So I spent, after the last video, going over the Donner stuff, and we talked about it. I spent the better part of last night watching reviews of the Glary guitars. And it's kind of hilarious. There were people that tried to like them and just said, you know, they couldn't. Then there was this one guy who got this heavy metal version of it, and he wasn't much of a guitar player, but it actually came with a little amp that had this crunch or gain thing, and oh my god, it was just awful. And he thought it was just amazing. He was just thrilled with himself, and I thought, well, this guy just doesn't know any better. Then there's this other guy who, like, is an awesome player, and he got that weird shaped Glary that's like a dragon's wing is what the body shape reminds me of because it's sculpted like that. And, you know, after doing all this work on it, filing the nut and doing this and doing that and all this bullshit, it was just a great, fantastic guitar, you know. Would he gig with it? Yes. Would he go to the studio with it? Yes. Are you crazy? Yes. You're crazy. But I think the glary stuff, the videos have calmed down. I didn't see any new ones. Like, these were all older from like last year, 2021 and whatever. Now it's the Donner stuff that the videos are coming out. But my God, what's next? Esteban? You know? My kids used to come in the music store for lessons, and they'd have the First Act acoustic, which was literally this big. It was a 6-string ukulele. And for the first month, first, 5, maybe 6 lessons, 5, 6 weeks, it didn't much matter. Okay? It really didn't much matter because they were trying to get their muscle memory together, trying to figure out how to make a sound on a guitar, and it didn't matter. But once you started getting past that to where they actually weren't just playing like notes in a row and it had to be a song, then it's time, like, the parents, it's like, if you're serious or this kid's serious, and you could tell when they were serious and when they weren't. There were parents that I told, don't waste your money or your time. This kid doesn't want to be here. He'd rather be playing baseball or, something else. And then the ones that really were into it, you knew, they'd be ahead of you. And so you recommend that they get a better guitar. And I went through this at the music store with those frickin' Palmer guitars that guy was selling. They were just awful. And he got mad at me because I kept telling people to buy used guitars that came into the store because people would come in and just sell the guitar because they needed money, and you'd get Epiphones and Squires and stuff. And and PVs, I would steer people towards those and not the AXL Badwater guitars and the Palmer acoustics. I would steer away from them and go towards the used stuff, or I'd tell them to shop somewhere else. I'd tell them, go to a Guitar Center and look in the used rack. If your kid's real serious, buy them a Fender, Get them a Fender guitar or a good Epiphone. If your kid's really serious and you got a whole bunch of money to spend, buy them a Gibson. But, that usually wasn't the case. But some of the guitars that guy sold in that store were just awful. The materials were awful. The necks were awful. The pickups were awful. The tuning keys were awful. The assembly was awful. There were just so many things wrong. And he kept a guitar tech there. He paid a friend of mine at the time as a guitar tech who, it was driving him crazy. It was just driving him insane. It was like, you want me to do the amount of work on this guitar that normally I would charge is more than the guitar's worth. More than they paid for the guitar. And, I don't know. There is some stuff out there. I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon or nothing. I got the guitar free. It happens to be a decent guitar, and that's that Harley Benton laying right down over there in that little box against that amp. And I'd tell people to buy that $129 Epiphone all day long, but I was looking for it last night on Musician's Friend. I couldn't find it. They couldn't even find that guitar, so either it's out of print or they're not carrying it or whatever. But stick to the names that are tried and true. At least Squire and Epiphone, they've been doing it a long time. At least they know what the measurement between the bridge and the nut is supposed to be, okay? They know what that measurement is. They know how to make that correct. Where these other companies, I don't think, some of these people, they can't read a ruler, or if their CNC machine gets off a little bit, things are going to get drilled in the wrong spot, and it just doesn't matter. Or if the body doesn't go into the jig just quite right, the drill's going to drill it wrong, and shit's going to be in the wrong place. One guy showed a Glary fretless base that the nut was on an angle. The slot was routed on an angle. How do you fix that? You got to reroute it, and then you're going to have a big space on one side. Just people, really. And back in the day, in the 80s, I was buying PD guitars that were just as good as what I felt were just as good as the Fender stuff at the time, for half the money. And some of the stuff was even better. And they've held up over time. And then, eventually we know what happened to Peavey. Every good company, it has to get ruined. They all got to get dogged. So it started off with Eddie Van Halen. He ruined the company because everything became that Wolfgang. And that was Peavey's, that was all they cared about, was that guitar and the 5150 amp. And, that was it. And everything else went by the wayside. All the good ideas they had, the Predators and the T60s and the Milestones and the Falcons and all the cool guitars that they had, went by the wayside, and they concentrated on that, and then they moved all the shit to Indonesia or China or wherever. And look at them now. Look at them now. At least they're still making good PA equipment, as far as I'm concerned. Peavey still makes some good PA equipment, but their prices aren't as competitive as they used to be, and they're right up there with JBL and all the other companies. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? But well, that's my take on it. I'm gonna get off this thing because we've got decent equipment. I bought that Guild acoustic for Linda, and I bought that Guild acoustic for me. And I could have bought a Martin, probably. It would have been a little hard paying for it, but I could have bought it. I could have bought a Taylor. But after all the research that my brother did, he felt that the Guild, for what he wanted and the value, and personally what I like, it's for $1,000. It seemed like a good deal. So far that's worked out okay. I've also got a beautiful Epiphone, the John Lennon acoustic with the pickup in up by the sound hole, under the neck with the, it's a passive pickup, so it doesn't even need batteries. And Dave Levine pointed out to me that guitar works way better with steel strings on it, and I did that. It's a beautiful guitar, and I need to start playing it more. I'm anxious to use that on a gig, but I'll pull that out and show it. I did a while back. I did a video about changing from the bronze strings to the steel strings after Dave told me that, and I did notice a big difference, I think, and I liked it. And I don't know why I don't play. You got too many guitars. When do you have too many guitars? Never. What is happiness? Another guitar. That's happiness. But, all right, folks. That's just my take on the world of guitars and guitar channels. So, don't. Some of these guys are shills. They lie. Other guys just can't help themselves, don't know any better. I don't know what it is, but just be careful out there.